All right. So now you can see that he was there. And John says, now before the feast of Passover, Yahushua, knowing that his hour had come, that he would depart out of this world to the Father, having loved his own who were in the world, he loved them to the end. During the supper, the devil, having already put into the heart of Judas Issachar, the son of Simon, to betray him. So you can see how they were there the day before Passover, right? They were already eating that meal. And now in some other scriptures, it actually says that they were during the time they were killing the sacrifice. So some people have discrepancies saying, oh, he was there actually eating this Passover, and it was the next day that he was killed. But that also caused some issues too when you come to scripture, because you can see there in John 19, when during time when he was about to be, during his crucifixion, it says in 31, then the Jews, because it was the day of preparation, so the bodies would not remain on the cross on the Sabbath, for the Sabbath was a high day. So they're saying that, they couldn't work on the Sabbath. And the Passover is a Sabbath. So how do you, if it's the day of preparation, it's supposed to be the day before the Sabbath, day before the holiday, right? Because they're able to prepare for it. They're able to work. So you can see here when Yahushua was basically being sacrifice, that they had to get his body off the cross with all of them, and because it was against their beliefs in order to work during that time, right? So it says, going back to John 19, it says, then Jews, because it was the day of preparation, so that the bodies would not remain on the cross on the Sabbath, for the Sabbath was a high day, asked Pilate that their legs might be broken and that they might be taken away. So the soldiers came and broke the legs of the first man and of the other who were crucified with him, talking about Yahushua, and then going down to 42. Therefore, because of the Jewish day of preparations, since the tomb was nearby, they laid Yahushua there. So they didn't break his legs because he was already dead, because he had to fulfill the prophecy of that not one bone would be broken in his body. So he was already dead. They didn't break his leg, but then they had to bury his body before the Sabbath. So that's the reason why Joseph what's his name? Matthias? I can't remember his name. But he was the one that actually took the body, wrapped it up, and put it in his tomb, because that was the tomb that was nearby, right? So that was the importance of that. So it shows you it had to be before the Sabbath actually came in for the next day. And then the day after, some people say, but we know the 15th is the day of unleavened bread. So that's what we talk about, unleavened bread. And you can see there in Leviticus 23, 6 through 7. Then on the 15th day, the 14th day is the Passover. The next day, the 15th day, starts the unleavened bread, right? So he says, then on the 15th day of the same month, there's the feast of unleavened bread to Yahuwah for 7 days. You should not eat unleavened bread. On the first day, you should have a holy convocation. You should not do any laborious work. So we know that Yahushua couldn't have been buried on the next day, because that was also a day we're not supposed to work, right? So how could they prepare him to put him in the grave? So in Mark 14, you can see why he talks about the communion that he was having, right? He says in verse 22, while they were eating, he took some bread, and after a blessing, he broke it and gave it to them and said, take it, this is my body. And when he had taken a cup and given thanks, he gave it to them, and they all drank from it. And he said to them, this is my blood of the covenant, which is poured out for many. Truly I say to him, I will never again drink of the fruit of the vine until the day when I drink it anew in the kingdom of Yah. And they sung and was on the mountain. So, some of the songs and hymns and some of the stuff. And it's important to know that even during the time of our early history here, as African Americans through slavery, that a lot of some of the people that was coming out of slavery, they kept Passover, even in the Christian denominations, with Kojic and so forth. That's what I was saying about Only Love's book as well, that she talks about some of that early Protestant movement of how they kept some of these customs. Even, like Kojic has the holy convocations, right? So you can see there that in Luke 23, it says that you should have, a holy convocation. So, that's where it's talking about, these holy convocations, these holy meetings that was supposed to be done during the time of these feasts. All right, so next slide. That's Passover. And they also had communion, right? So that's what he was talking about in reference to communion. You can see how he said that this is the new covenant in my body. Do this as often as you drink in remembrance of me. So that's the reason why we have communion during Passover, especially. It's a time to remember what he did for us. It goes back to him, right? In that time to remember that he was the Passover lamb. And that's the reason why it says anybody who eats and drinks it as a judgment to yourself, to himself. Because if you're doing it out of just religious reasons, if you're not truly in the right mind and the right devotion to Yah and understand what Yahusha did for us, right? So he said, you're basically not truly honoring what Yahusha has done because of the life that you're living and the things that you're doing, right? Not acknowledging him, right? So that's the reason why this is so important. The communion is just not a religious thing that you just do this and you go off, but it also was connected to the Passover as well. All right.